Remember this TikToker? Her drama had TikTok in a chokehold. Let me tell you what happened to her. Now, her name is Digital Princess, and she's 26, and she's a TikToker living in Florida.
Hey guys, what's up? It is,
And she has built herself an audience of over 2 million followers. Not bad. But one night in 2021, she screws it all up. Because Digital Princess is chilling at home and she runs into a problem. She really needs to leave the house and go meet up with some friends. Problem is, she has this 4-year-old son. This kid, who we'll just call Lil Guy. And Lil Guy is asleep on his bed and she either can't or doesn't want to take him with her. And so Digital Princess just leaves. Like, she leaves him there. And she drives 11 miles away, I guess, to see her friends. Now, at some point, Lil Guy wakes up. And he's probably confused, maybe a little scared, probably calling out for his mom, and she doesn't answer. And once he realizes she's not there, he's like, guess I'll just go outside and look for her. So this 4-year-old kid leaves the house and starts wandering the neighborhood late at night looking for his mom. And an hour goes by, and Lil Guy is still out there. But by this point, he's distraught and he's crying, probably feeling super scared. But then, around 10 o'clock, a local woman is out on a neighborhood walk. And she sees him and she's like, what the f*** is a little kid doing out in the road all by himself? And so she takes Lil Guy to a nearby neighbor's house and she knocks on the door. And she asks this neighbor if he can help figure out who this kid belongs to. And immediately, the neighbor calls the police. Minutes later, police roll up, and they talk to Lil Guy, and they ask him where his mom is, and of course he doesn't know, because he's 4. And so police start walking around the neighborhood talking to neighbors, trying to figure out where this kid lives. And finally, they find his house, because it's the only house with the front door left wide open. And so they get the homeowner's number. Digital Princess. And they call her, and they're like, you know, your kid is wandering around out in the street looking for you. And so she immediately starts driving home. Minutes later, she shows up to her house, and there's police officers everywhere. And old Digital Princess is wearing a little black, like, cocktail dress. She's dressed like she just went out to the club. So to everyone there, it looks like she abandoned her kid to go out to some nightclub. And I don't think that's actually true, but whatever, this looks really bad for her. And so she immediately goes inside and changes into pajamas, which was smart. And so police, they start asking her questions like, where the hell were you? Why'd you leave your kid home alone? And Digital Princess is like, oh, I was just out buying laundry detergent at the 7-Eleven. I wasn't gone long. She was allegedly gone 2 hours. And they're like, do you have a receipt for that laundry detergent you say you bought? And she's like, nah. And she ends up showing them a bottle of laundry detergent. But here's the thing, the bottle she shows them is half empty. So she couldn't have just bought it. And so police know that this is bullshit. But then, Digital Princess's mom rolls up, Lil Guy's grandma, because police had called her as well. And grandma is shook that Lil Guy was left alone. Because, you know, grandmas be protective like that. But also, grandma happens to live nearby. So Digital Princess could have called her to watch Lil Guy while she was gone, and she didn't for some reason. But then, grandma drops a bomb.
Where's her nanny? I don't know where the nanny is.
Does she usually have a nanny?
She has a nanny. Yeah, a full-time nanny.
So apparently Homegirl also has a full-time nanny that she probably could have asked to watch Lil Guy. And so all this is looking really bad for her. And so eventually, bam, police arrest her. Here's her mugshot. And they charge her with child neglect while they temporarily hand Lil Guy over to his grandmother. But then, 12 hours later, Digital Princess gets out on bail. So now she's free to go. And it's fine, none of her fans will ever know what she did, and there's not gonna be, like, any kind of public backlash from any of this. Until... Here's the thing about the internet. The internet likes to talk, and news of Digital Princess's arrest blows the f*** up, and it starts trending. And people hear about it, and they're freaking out, and her fans are all mad at her, and they're turning on her, like, how could you do this to your own child? And they're making memes about it, like, dude, where's my kid? And this drama is everywhere on TikTok. Like, in 2021, this was the OJ trial of TikTok. And so now Digital Princess has to respond, and she has to get on camera and make a statement, and so she does.
Hi guys, I just wanted to come on here and say that I do see your comments, I do see your concerns, and I know there's a lot of things being posted online that are very out of context and very much untrue, so please do not believe everything that you will read on the internet.
But the thing is, people take this as her saying a lot of untrue things are being said about what happened that night. Like people are lying about the situation. However, people on the internet are like, wait, bro, what untrue things are being said? We read the police report. But so then, Digital Princess seems to get like a little attitude about it, and she doubles down.
People online feel like they are entitled to know everything about my life because I have a platform, and they think that they can demand answers from me about my life that has nothing to do with them. People online want to act like they know everything about my life, when in reality, you only get to see 15 to 60-second clips of my life.
And this, of course, makes the internet even more mad at her. Now, around this time, the district attorney's office who's prosecuting this case drops a huge bomb on everyone. They've decided to drop all the charges against her. Now, it isn't clear if they didn't have enough evidence to prove child neglect or if this was part of some plea arrangement. We actually don't have that information. But now, Digital Princess feels vindicated. Like she didn't get prosecuted and she has her kid back. She's probably thinking, hell yeah, I beat the whole internet. So then she decides to make a video to explain to her fans and all the internet her side of the story regarding what really happened that night. Here's the thing about that though. Digital Princess also makes spicy content over on the OF. And she decides to tweet out that she'll only be releasing her explanation video on her OF. And that if you want to see it, you have to subscribe to her account. And this, of course, makes people even more pissed off. They're like, you're using your child neglect situation to get people to subscribe to your spicy account? What is wrong with you? And yeah, it does feel pretty sleazy. And so I presume, due to all the backlash, she never releases a video explaining what really happened that night from her perspective on her OF, although she did make other statements elsewhere. But then, 2 years later, in 2023, a YouTube channel called Explore With Us gets a hold of the police body cam footage of her arrest that night, and they release it to the public. And so the world sees that basically everything the police report had said happened that night actually did happen. Like, no one was making anything up. And so now, today, in 2025, you can go to her TikTok page, and pinned to the top is a sort of apology in text. Sort of an apology. Basically, she admits that she made some bad decisions that night, and that she's learned a lot and grown a lot since then. She seems to be in therapy over it, and, you know, it's not a perfect statement, but it's something. And since then, you know, the drama has died down and she seems to have won some of her fans back. So, you know, good for her.